Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookishram and I'm back for another video. Today is December 31st, meaning it is New Year's Eve. We're almost into the new year and I could not be more excited. I have so many great things planned for 2019. 2018 was a rough year. Seems like I've been saying that for the past 3 years, but it's okay. It's all right. We're still gonna push through. We're just gonna make this year amazing as possible, especially with my reading and my reading goals and reading ambitions, etc., etc. Like, I'm just really amped and pumped about this year. So the first thing that I'm gonna do today, and the only thing, I don't know why I said first thing, but what I'm gonna be doing today is going over some of my favorite books of 2018. Now, I originally had said I was gonna do top 10. I wouldn't feel like doing an 18, so I feel like I hit somewhere along the lines of the middle ground between 10 and 18, somewhere in that middle. I didn't really count. I just went through and picked out which ones I thought were my favorites. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in. What I did try not to do is I try not to pick any rereads because these are books that I have already previously enjoyed and I just want to give some new books a chance to be my favorites for the year. And then I did not include Harry Potter because excuse me, Harry Potter is like my favorite series of all time, so I don't want to put that in, oh, favorites of 2018, because it'd be the favorites of every single year until I die, so why include it? So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So the first book that I have here is Nana Volume 9 by Ayazawa. This was such a pivotal volume for me. It is a particularly thick volume. Most of the volumes are not this thick. This one seems to have run, can't even see the page numbers. I don't even know. Okay. This one ran over 200 pages. And they're usually not this long, but there was so much happening in this volume between the two Nanas, specifically Hachiko, and Hachi, who is Nana K. She was going through a lot. I don't want to say what, just in case you're interested in reading this series. But this was a serious turning point for the relationship between the two girls, what Nana K had going on, and it was just a lot, but I absolutely loved it. Like I said, this is probably one of my favorite manga series of all time outside of Food Wars, and I really enjoy it. And I'm hoping that I will get the opportunity to reread this volume again as we go into 2019. The next one that I have here is Food Wars Volume 22 by Yu Tsukuda. This was an important volume for me in the series because we see Akira do some really interesting things. And once again, since it's volume 22, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that's in the middle of reading the series or hasn't gotten to this volume yet or is interested in the series and hasn't started yet. But Akira makes a big shift in a previous volume pertaining to what's going on at the school, and it was very it made me distraught to see how he had changed so much because of the fact that some elements and dynamics of the school had changed, and he was just a completely different person in like the first arc of this manga, and then he completely changed in this one. And Soma has to handle his business when it comes to Akira, and he had my heart racing for like the past, probably like the last 30 pages of this book. Last 30 pages I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe that this is going on. So I really ended up enjoying this one. I didn't give it 5 stars, but I did end up giving it 4, I believe. The next one I have on my list here is Small Spaces by Katherine Arden. This is the same author of The Bear and the Nightingale, and this is her middle grade debut about a young girl who lives with her dad. Her mom has recently passed away, and she is going on this trip with her classmates, and they go to this farm, and at this farm she notices some weird things. The scarecrows come alive, and it is so good. It was one of my favorite middle grades of 2018. I was not expecting it to be this good. I got sent this copy for review, and I was just thoroughly impressed with what Katherine Arden did with this book. It really creeped me out. It's a great middle grade book for like Halloween, or if you're into mystery type horror. It's not so scary that middle grade children can't read it, but it did give me the creeps to some degree, and it's a really quick read, and I definitely am going to want a final finished copy of this book and also the second book in the series, because I just recently found out that it's going to be a series and it's not just one book. The next two books that I have are actually part of a series, and the third book comes out either February or March of 2019, and it is the Reluctant Royal series by Alyssa Cole. So I read A Princess in Theory, which is the first book, and then also A Duke by Default, which is the second book, and these are about two women. It's interesting because I think it continues to build off of characters that we meet. So the first one is about a girl by the name, or not a girl, a woman by the name of Naledi. She does not know that she actually was betrothed and a princess at one point and is supposed to be marrying this prince to become part of this royal kingdom because of some issues that have happened, and then he comes to seek and find her out. So it is a very interesting dynamic. I absolutely love it. I love Alyssa Cole's writing. It was so fun. I love the steamy moments. They were absolutely amazing. And then this one, A Duke by Default, is actually based off of Portia, who is Naledi's best friend in this first book, although she makes some choice decisions in this first book that I was kind of unhappy with. But I read the second one and I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. The third one, it should be coming out, like I said, either February or March, and I'm definitely going to pick it up. And from what I saw, I think on Twitter, is that it's going to be a 6-book series. So this is a series that I'm actually caught up on, and I'm happy about it because I'm caught up on it. What I probably will end up doing before the other one comes out is I will end up rereading both the first and the second book. The next one that I have here is Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and this is one that I read towards the beginning of the year. I actually did a full review on this book, and if you want to see it, I'll link the review down in the description box below, or I'll see if I can put it up in the card symbol. And this is such an amazing book. I know I was hesitant when it first came out because I was like, oh, this is probably going to end up being just like The Hate U Give. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It deals with the same issues, some of the same issues, not necessarily all, but some of the same issues as The Hate U Give, but it's written in its own style and way, and Nick definitely stood out on her own 2 feet with this one, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a short read, and I was surprised that she was able to encompass so much in such a small book, but I was really able to relate to the main character. I really enjoy the main character. I just really love the elements of this book, and I can't praise it enough. Like I said, I have a full review that I did on this channel down in the description box, so if you're interested in seeing that, definitely check it out. The next one that I have here is by Libba Bray. This was like the second or third book that I read this year, and it is the third book in the Diviners Quartet. The fourth book probably should be coming out this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, because Libba likes to take like 2 years in between each book. So hopefully, I think this one was published, maybe this one was published in 2017. Yeah, this was published in October of 2017. So hopefully around October of next year we'll be actually getting the final book in the series. And I'm not going to talk about it at all because of the fact that it is the third book in the series. Just know that I really enjoyed it, and that it was monumental, and a lot of social commentary was made in this book in reference to the election that happened in 2016, and Libba Bray makes sure that she touches on that within this book. And the afterword that she writes as an author is probably one of the most powerful author afterwards that I've read ever in my time of reading, and this book just meant a whole lot to me. Once again, like with the Reluctant Royal series, I probably will be doing a reread of all 3 books. I've listened to them on audio with January Lavoie, who's an amazing narrator, but now I'm going to go back through and actually annotate my copies of the book. The only downside to this series is, if you do get it, all of the covers are different. If you're the type of person that likes all your covers matching, you can forget it, because the publisher keeps changing the cover. Literally, I have the hardback of the first, second, and third book, and they're all different because they keep changing the design, and I don't know why. The next book that I have here is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is definitely one of my favorite books of 2018, simply because it ties a lot of the experience that Tomi went through watching Black Lives Matter to a Nigerian myth-inspired fantasy, and it is phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, it was super hype, it didn't live up to the hype. I'm going to have to do a full discussion on this book. I need to reread it and do a full discussion, because this book goes beyond the realm of just being a fantasy book, but you have to read it closely to understand that. I'm not saying that that's going to make you like it, but this is more than just a fantasy book. There's a lot more elements to this book than it being a fantasy book. Trust me when I say that. And what I'll do is this year I do plan, I was supposed to reread it before this year got over with, but I didn't get to it. But I definitely am going to reread it, because the second book, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, or Vengeance and Virtue, I forget what order it goes in, that comes out in March of this year, and I definitely want to reread this one to prepare myself to be able to delve into the second book that's coming out. But I just thought I would put that out there, because I see a lot of people in their least favorite, or books that they were kind of like unsure for 2018, this is now popping up a lot. And I'm not sure if it has to always 100% do with the content of the book, or because of the controversy that happened with Tomi and Nora Roberts, which I don't agree with the way the situation was handled, but that doesn't take away from the book itself. But that's a discussion for another day. If you want to know more about it, just ask me in the comments below. The next couple books that I'll be talking about are books that I don't actually own in my possession, and it's 3 books that I don't, well, 1 is lent out and 2 of them I do not own. So the first one that is lent out is going to be The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This is a magical realism historical fiction type book where it looks at the Underground Railroad, but the Underground Railroad is actually really a railroad system, and it's about a young woman who runs from where she's staying, the plantation that she's staying, and trying to make her way to freedom. And it is extremely difficult to read, not necessarily because it's bad, but because of content. And Colson Whitehead definitely touches in on a lot of what happened during the time of slavery. He doesn't try to build it into this beautiful picture. He doesn't try to coddle you. He essentially tells you it is what it is. So there are scenes in there that are extremely gory, that do it for me, it made my skin like, oh, like I can't believe that it happened. It's like, I just can't believe that people could do things like that to other people. I always had such a hard time behind, like, thinking about the psychology of how people can treat other people that way. It is a very hard thing for me personally to grasp. So that was the most difficult part, but it was amazing writing. I annotated my copy. I wish I had it here for you guys to see, but I really wanted another individual to get the opportunity to read that book, and it is phenomenal, hands down. Probably falls within, if I did do like a top 5, it would fall within my top 5. The next book that I had in my favorites of 2018 that I don't own is one that I just talked about in my video from yesterday, which is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This book was absolutely phenomenal. It is not what I think people expect. It is very open-ended, and I'm not going to talk about it any more than that because I don't want to spoil it. Like I said yesterday in my video, I am considering doing a completely spoiler discussion about the book. That way, if you haven't read it and you don't want to watch it, you do have that option. So just know that it definitely was, even though I just finished it like yesterday, December 30th. Yeah, I finished it yesterday at 3:30 in the morning. So it made its way. It made its way. That's why I always try to wait until the last minute to do this video, because if I film it too early, there's always that chance that something that originally was not that was not in the video ends up being a favorite because I've read it after the video has been posted. And the last book that I have as my favorite of 2018 is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This definitely is hit or miss with people. A lot of people enjoy it. I've heard a lot of people say that they didn't like it because it's an overload of 80s pop culture references, but I absolutely love 80s pop culture, so I thought it was such a phenomenal book. I love the storyline. A lot of people find Wade extremely annoying, but he didn't bother me, so it didn't make a difference to me. I actually did watch the movie. I have the movie checked out from the library right now, and I plan on probably watching it either tonight or tomorrow. One of the two, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, hopefully. So that's one that I do plan on rewatching, and I just really enjoyed it. And I've recently found out that Ready Player One is not going to be a standalone. There's supposedly a second book coming within that entire series. I don't know how many books Ernest Cline is making it, but I do know that there's a second book coming out. I don't know when, but on Goodreads it's listed as a second book, and there was an article somewhere speaking about the fact that he did decide to write another one within that world. Alright y'all, so those are my top books of 2018. Let me know in the comment box below what you consider your favorites of 2018. Whether it's only 1 or 2 or 10 or 15, however many you decide. As always, if you like this video, make sure you click the like button. And if you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button. As always, if you're interested in following me on social media, all the links will be down below in the description box. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.